Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and I'm here to guide our discussion on health and wellness. Today we'll be focusing on polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, and how it can be managed through simple lifestyle changes. Joining me is Alara Sky, whose insights on natural health will help us understand the key strategies that make a real difference for those dealing with PCOS. Alara, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ethan. PCOS is a common issue that affects many women of reproductive age. One of the most important points to know is that PCOS often presents with irregular periods, excess hair growth in unwanted areas, and sometimes fertility challenges. However, it's not just these surface-level symptoms. PCOS can also influence long-term health by contributing to insulin resistance, weight gain, and increased risks of conditions like diabetes and cardiovascular issues. The good news is that lifestyle modifications can be very effective in managing these concerns.
That's a great starting point. Let's talk briefly about why lifestyle changes are at the heart of PCOS management. We often hear about medical or pharmaceutical approaches, but many experts emphasize that diet, exercise, and addressing environmental factors can help correct the underlying imbalances. Alara, could you shed some light on why these basics make such a meaningful impact?
Certainly. If you think of PCOS as a hormonal imbalance combined with metabolic disturbances, improving nutrition and exercise habits helps target the root causes. For instance, PCOS often goes hand in hand with insulin resistance, which can drive weight gain and further disrupt hormone levels. When you adjust your diet to manage blood sugar and reduce inflammation, you alleviate many of the fundamental problems that exacerbate PCOS. It's similar with exercise. It boosts insulin sensitivity and balances hormones. Moreover, paying attention to environmental toxins and mental health builds a comprehensive approach that can lead to real improvements.
Let's begin with diet. One recurring theme in PCOS management is the benefit of low glycemic foods and an anti-inflammatory approach. How do these dietary guidelines work for someone dealing with insulin resistance or blood sugar issues?
Low glycemic index, GI, foods are digested more slowly, which stabilizes blood sugar levels and reduces insulin spikes. This is crucial for women with PCOS since insulin resistance is common. Examples include oats, lentils, berries, and other whole food carbohydrates. However, it's essential to remember that if someone has gut dysbiosis, an imbalance in gut bacteria, fiber-rich foods could initially feed harmful microorganisms, potentially releasing endotoxins. In such cases, it might be wise to limit certain high-fiber foods until gut health improves, then gradually reintroduce them in a more balanced way.
You mentioned gut health, which brings me to another dietary approach, the ketogenic diet. Historically, it's been promoted for weight loss and metabolic benefits. Yet, there's a shift in perspective regarding its long-term use. Could you clarify why some experts, including Dr. Mercola, have revised their stance on keto as a lasting solution?
Certainly. A ketogenic diet can be effective in specific short-term situations, especially for quick metabolic improvements. But research and further clinical insights have shown that staying on a very low-carb regimen for an extended period might pose challenges. It can negatively affect thyroid function and hormone balance over time, especially for individuals who already have hormonal fluctuations, like in PCOS. So, while keto might be beneficial temporarily, incorporating sufficient carbohydrates from wholesome sources such as fruits, certain grains, and minimally processed foods tends to offer a more sustainable pathway for overall health and hormone balance.
Another element the article highlights is following an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant-rich diet. PCOS often brings an inflammatory component that can exacerbate symptoms. What specific foods would you recommend for those looking to calm inflammation?
Anti-inflammatory foods include options like wild-caught salmon, spinach, mushrooms, and berries. These choices help reduce the chronic low-grade inflammation linked to PCOS. On the flip side, it's wise to avoid processed foods loaded with seed oils high in linoleic acid, which can harm mitochondrial function. Antioxidant-rich foods, such as dark chocolate or green tea, also combat oxidative stress, This occurs when your body has more free radicals than it can handle. Reducing both inflammation and oxidative stress allows hormones to rebalance more naturally.
Next, I'd like to address exercise. We know physical activity does more than burn calories. It also fine-tunes insulin sensitivity and stabilizes hormones. What types of workouts are most beneficial for women with PCOS, and how much do they actually need?
Aerobic exercises, like walking, cycling, or swimming, support heart health and improve how cells respond to insulin. A reasonable goal is to aim for about 60 minutes of walking per day. For people new to fitness, this doesn't have to be one straight hour. You can break it down into 3 20-minute walks. Strength training is equally valuable. It enhances the quality of your muscle tissue and further improves your body's ability to handle blood sugar. Around 30 to 60 minutes of strength work per week, targeting all major muscle groups, typically suffices to reap these benefits.
It's interesting how a few simple adjustments, walking regularly, and adding some light resistance exercises can deliver tangible improvements. Another critical point in PCOS management is mental health. There's often stress or sadness that goes hand in hand with hormonal imbalances. Ilara, how can addressing emotional well-being complement diet and exercise changes?
PCOS affects body and mind together, so mental health support is key. Counseling can help someone cope with the frustrations of irregular periods or fertility challenges. Mindfulness and practices like slow, deep breathing or meditation have been shown to reduce stress hormones and regulate mood. Education is another powerful tool. Understanding PCOS lowers anxiety and encourages proactive steps rather than reactive ones. When mental health is cared for, it's easier to maintain consistency in diet, exercise, and other changes.
Let's pivot to environmental factors, which are sometimes overlooked but can be significant. Many people may not realize that certain chemicals known as xenoestrogens can exacerbate hormonal imbalances. How do these toxins come into play? And what should individuals with PCOS do to reduce exposure?
Xenoestrogens are substances found in plastics and other consumer products that mimic the effects of estrogen in the body. Microplastics and chemicals like phthalates can bind to estrogen receptors, raising estrogen levels and complicating an already imbalanced hormonal system in PCOS. Avoiding plastic food containers, reducing the use of plastic water bottles, and choosing personal care products that are free of known endocrine disruptors are all practical steps. Additionally, some individuals explore natural progesterone to help balance higher levels of estrogen and lower androgens.
It sounds like each element, diet, exercise, mental health, and toxin avoidance, carries its own weight, but they also connect and reinforce one another. For instance, improving diet could enhance gut health, which then boosts mental clarity and lowers stress.
A diet that balances blood sugar, combined with regular physical activity, addresses insulin resistance and inflammation at their core. Good mental health practices keep a person motivated and reduce stress-related hormone imbalances. Avoiding xenoestrogens prevents external factors from derailing these efforts. Together, these steps help individuals regain more normal menstrual cycles, support healthy weight management, and reduce the risk of long-term complications.
As we wrap up, let's give listeners some quick answers to common questions. First, for someone with PCOS who feels overwhelmed, what's an easy lifestyle change they can start immediately to see some improvement?
One of the simplest ways is to swap out processed snacks with nutrient-dense foods like fresh fruits, vegetables, or a handful of nuts. Another easy start is adding short walks, maybe 2 or 3 10-minute walks each day, just to develop a consistent habit. Gradual improvements in nutrition and physical activity build momentum and help keep you motivated. Making small, sustainable adjustments is often more effective than attempting drastic overhauls all at once.
And for those wondering how much exercise is essential to make a visible difference in their symptoms, how would you summarize the ideal routine?
About 60 minutes of walking or light aerobic exercise most days, broken into manageable segments if needed, plus 30 to 60 minutes of strength training per week. This balance addresses insulin resistance, supports cardiovascular health, and helps regulate hormones. Even modest, consistent routines can yield substantial benefits over time.
Finally, let's emphasize motivation. For individuals who question if these steps really matter, what would you say to encourage them to keep going?
I'd remind them that every positive change, no matter how small, contributes to an overall healthier state. Tracking your progress, whether it's improved energy levels, steadier moods, or more regular cycles, can reinforce the value of these lifestyle shifts. PCOS management is a process, not an overnight fix. Staying informed and taking incremental steps allow you to regain a sense of control over your body and well-being.
That's an excellent perspective. Thank you, Alara, for sharing these vital insights on how to manage PCOS through dietary choices, exercise, mental health support, and reducing exposure to environmental toxins. These strategies align closely with Dr. Mercola's emphasis on foundational lifestyle changes that empower individuals to take charge of their health.
Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate the opportunity to detail these approaches. I hope anyone listening who's dealing with PCOS feels more confident about where to begin or how to refine their current plan. Simple, consistent actions can have a profound effect.
Absolutely. And that concludes today's discussion on PCOS management. I'm Ethan Foster, and you've been listening to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to bringing you more straightforward, practical health insights next time. Until then, take care and be well.